Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League quarterfinals first leg. We have 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐵 and Alain Valnegri. Hello guys, to analyze these 4 games we have on Thursday. This is getting more and more interesting, and right now if we check the outright market in Oddspedia, we have Athletic Bilbao as big favorites, and then Man United and Tottenham, but everything can change after this first leg, so stay with us. There are plenty of good bets to be made this Thursday, and don't forget, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And we have an early kickoff, so take a look at 6:45. We have Bodo Glimt, Lazio. Of course, we have to go north and north to Norway. Bodo Glimt, the most surprising team in this Europa League, the less favorite also to win the title. They've started finally the Norwegian league now that the weather is not that bad. But be careful, it's not only about the names, but you have to check also the home form in this Europa League. They beat 𝗵𝐿𝐴𝐴 and 𝐻𝐿𝐴 in the knockout stages with big results at home. 5 wins at home in this Europa League. So, danger, Alain Valnegri, for Lazio?
Yes, danger. Yes, danger because Lazio won in Bergamo last Sunday, but Lazio arrived after a bad draw. The defeat in Bologna 5-0, draw against Udinese and Torino and l'Olimpico. It's not the best moment for Lazio. I think Baroni have some problem about the quantity, not the quality, but the quantity, because don't have more than 14 players to play both competition. And we saw a Lazio tactically, Lazio is a team really order. Maybe is one of the worst team for the model of play of Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt is really offensive football. We know the source about that way of play is Football Club Barcelona, is positional attack, and they're playing at very good level now. When they played at home, the team is dangerous. They're back in Norwegian league. When we watch the last week and the problem in without the ball for Lazio, when we know Bodo Glimt, he play with only one way and offensive. Lazio can be attacked in transition. 𝐿𝐴𝐴 arrive really strong. Zaccagni is playing a very good level. I choose both teams to score. The odds are interesting. Odds 2.10.
We've been saying, Leo, in our serious videos that Lazio seem a little bit tired, that the season was going to be very long for them. They got themselves this key win in Bergamo with a terrible defense, I must say, about Atalanta. But in the Europa League, their away form is superb. They've won all the games, including, for instance, in Amsterdam against Ajax, only losing to Braga.
Yeah, and but the win against Atalanta in Bergamo that you both mentioned, Edu, that was the first win for Lazio since they won against Viktoria Pilsen in the first leg of the Europa League and the last 16. And it's true, the away form as well for Lazio, which is outstanding, but also what you guys said, that Bodo Glimt at home is as well something completely different. The home record this campaign is there for everyone to see. They have won 5 of their 6 games in the Europa League, playing at home, Bodo Glimt, and they scored 3 or more goals in 4 occasions on those 6 games, and no one has scored more than Bodo's 24 goals this season in the Europa League. And it's true what Alain said, that they're like a very attacking side, but at the same time, to be honest, guys, I'm a bit curious of the approach they will take. Probably it won't change, but my point is, like, I don't think it's a great idea to play all the time in Lazio's half, because if Lazio has shown something this season in Serie A is that they could be a threat at the counter. Look at the way they won against Napoli with a goal from 𝗵𝗲𝗏𝗀 at the Diego Armando Maradona, the way they won recently at San Siro against Milan. But at the same time, look, Bodo could also be a threat at the counter, and that is why it wouldn't be a bad idea sometimes within the game to sit deep for them. Actually, when you look at the game with Olympiacos in Athens, 𝗂𝐿 was a very good drill counter attack for Bodo. He has 7 goals this competition. The striker was a bit nervous, I think, the last 16 back in Athens for the second leg for Bodo, but in the end they show some resilience, because when 𝗻𝐿 scored the second one, when he made it 2-1 for Olympiacos, it was still 25 minutes to go, and they look a little bit nervous, but in the end they crossed the line. Of course, for Lazio, the return leg in the last 16 was completely different. Let's not forget also, guys, that this game for Lazio is being sandwiched before facing Roma on Sunday in the Derby della Capitale, and we all know how emotionally drained are those games for both teams. But in this case, we are talking about Lazio. I like the odds on Bodo. I think this tie is not going to be like with Olympiacos when it was decided mainly in the first leg. I think we're going to go all the way to the Olimpico Stadium to find who is going to go to the semifinals. But I still fancy the odds for Bodo here. Double chance Bodo, 1.67 is my take.
Well, I thought there was good weather in Bodo, but snowing, feeling like -3, 6 degrees Celsius right now. The feel is like -3, so pretty windy. And the evening of the previous evening of the game, we might see snow. So Lazio fans, bring a good coat, because it's not warm, it's not a spring yet in Norway. Let's go to the south. We have Lyon, Man United. This is a great tie, probably the most interesting one among the 4 of them, with Man United struggling the whole season. We saw a very boring Manchester derby last Sunday, but in Europe they've been much better. They beat Real Sociedad at home to qualify. Some controversy about the referee, but still undefeated in the competition. Is completely the opposite of what we've been seeing in the UK, Leo, in the Premier League for Man United. Perhaps, I mean, I'm sure they are targeting this competition, but perhaps they can do great things. Of course, now only 4 games away from the final.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree with you that this should be a very good tie. And in the last 16 for Manchester United was Bruno the hero against Sociedad in Old Trafford. They really needed a performance like that, and they got that on the night. Almost 4 penalties and were called by the referee in Old Trafford. 2 of them converted by Bruno Fernandes with his hack trick, and Bruno is so much involved in everything his team does that it wasn't just a player scoring 2 goals from the penalty spot, but he was involved in the run-up to those penalties too. And it seems that that European nights are bringing the best out of Manchester United this season. Nothing extraordinary anyway, but something to believe probably that a little bit better future waits for them. And I'm particularly saying European nights because in the Premier League almost nothing has changed for them. The most positive aspect in Sunday in the 0-0 with City, it was the clean sheet for a team that have conceded 17 goals in the previous 9 home games in Old Trafford. But another aspect probably which I will, which at least I like, or they did well, United on Sunday, and it's something that they should recreate against Lyon, is that they were very difficult to cut through the middle. And when the ball was played outside, wing backs were sharp to drop, and center backs were quick to cover if needed. But now Tolisso, Almada, 𝗀𝗀𝗀, all with the capacity to start wide but going inside, will test this United that at least it seems a little bit more cohesive in their system. Manuel Ugarte and Casemiro are the double pivot that Amorim is trusting at the moment. He's not using Bruno in that deep lying position, and actually the problem with Bruno, I think, is like with the short or long blanket, no? Because if Amorim uses him in deeper, Bruno has to cover a lot of space, which could leave also spacing behind for Ugarte and Casemiro, which could be too much. And if he plays in a more attacking role, then the team is lacking a little of fluidity at midfield, someone who can break line with passes, something that Bruno can do very, very well. Yes, away from home in this Europa League, they won in Bucharest, in Prague, they have drawn in Istanbul with 𝐻𝐻𝐻, also at the Stadio Dragao with Porto, but this is by far the toughest step for them. Lyon, no difficulties in that 7-1 aggregate against Steaua. They won 8 of the last 11. I want to hear what Alain says about 𝐻𝐿𝐴's ACL injury, how big this could be a miss for Lyon. But his absence, I'm saying again, will provide probably the chance to see Almada and 𝗀𝐿 together, which at least on paper and for me sounds good for Lyon, because they could offer all the creativity that United does not have. The odds are fantastic both ways. Probably book is pointing to a draw, and that is actually my take for this first leg between Lyon and Manchester United. Draw at 3.55.
Indeed, the book is at pointing to a draw, although Man United are favorites. In this tie, Alain, Lyon is doing a great 2025 despite their economical problems, and even domestically they are targeting the Champions League. Leo is asking you about Ernest Nuama's ACL rupture as well.
Yes, but playing with Nuama and playing with 𝗀𝐿 change a lot of things. Change the way of play, because 𝗀𝐿 is a creator. Nuama is really a striker, attack the space. And maybe for that type of game in the match plan, maybe Nuama is more adapt, but for the fan of good football, it's better to see 𝗀𝐿, because 𝗀𝐿, from this generation in France, is the most talented. Maybe 𝗀𝗲 now is playing a really high level in Paris, but 𝗀𝐿 is something like genius player. No, when he is not in his good day, you can hate him, but when he's in a good day, you fall in love with 𝗀𝐿. Manchester United this season, we saw the best version in Europa League. In my opinion, against Real Sociedad, it was a difficult games. The first leg, I saw a very good version of Man United, and in Old Trafford, probably is the best 45 minutes with Amorim in the bench. And in my opinion, that one will be followed. The Lyon version with Fonseca in the bench is a really offensive player. Fonseca is still searching balance, no, especially without the ball, in transition, to try to don't attack with 6 or 7 player, because Man United wait that. And in my opinion, is a goal game. It's a goal game. The market of the goal is interesting. For that reason, I choose over 2.75 goals, odds 2.05.
Let's see if we see Lacazette, for instance, in the score sheet. Well, the winner of this tie plays the winner of Rangers Athletic. Here is kind of one-sided for the bookies, for the tie, and even very favorite Athletic for the game. Still good odds to back them, 2.2 to win in Ibrox Park. Rangers doing a really bad domestic campaign in Scotland. But in Europe, they surprised us, eliminating 𝐻𝐻𝐻 in penalties. Alain, really favorite, right? Athletic.
Yes, especially if, against Rangers, when they played at home. We don't understand the mystery. The last 5 games at home, they lose, Rangers. And when they played away, they won. And maybe we can find a meaning about that, about the possession of the ball. Because when Rangers in the biggest game against Celtic in Europe. When Rangers lose the possession, Rangers is dangerous. When Rangers win the possession, Rangers is really weak in transition. It's a game with two teams with similar model of play. It's a really direct play, really physical, and based especially in the attack, their attack in transition. And Athletic, the motivation is there. Athletic, we know the final is in San Mamés. Athletic have the focus in the Europa League. We saw that in Villarreal Sunday. I don't feel Athletic Club really motivates, and with the focus in Ibrox Park. And for that reason, I think Athletic is really favorite. The odds are so interesting, and I choose Athletic Club winning odds 2.23.
Really favorite Athletic, and targeting this competition. I have friends from Bilbao even traveling to Glasgow for this game, also really informed. In La Liga, only one defeat in 2025 against Atlético de Madrid, probably even deserving more at the Metropolitanos. So this should be a one-sided tie, Leo.
Yes, but at the same, I do believe so. But at the same time, there is an element of know-how in European nights for these Rangers and in Europa League. Reaching that final against Sevilla. In Sevilla, against Eintracht a few years back, doing what they have done this competition. But it's been done mostly away from home, we could argue, with Malmo, with Nice, with Fenerbahce in the first leg of the last 16. What Alain said is absolutely right, and it's just difficult to understand what is going on at home for them with those 5 defeats in the last 5 matches. But it's always going to be difficult against a team that won 7 out of 10 games this Europa League, like Athletic Bilbao. But again, I think there could be a little element that the game could be a bit of a trap for Bilbao. But I think that if they open the score, if they score first, then the gates are open. Because if you look at the Rangers. And their results in the last 18 matches, they only drawn 1, and Athletic Bilbao, and that was back in January against Dundee. And I'm saying this because Athletic Bilbao is coming at the back of 2 consecutive 0-0, which maybe we could point is they are not at the best level in the season in the last few weeks. But at the same time, it shows like better game management that this Rangers, that once the opposition score first, they don't know how to get back into games, and it happens as well with Fenerbahce in the return leg. They could have been sent out of the competition in the last few minutes. So yes, Athletic absolutely the favorites here. The light blues will gonna be as well without few important players, guys. And maybe for those looking at the individual market, good to know that defenders John Scouter and midfielder 𝐿𝐿 are suspended for this game. Those looking at players coming back from injury, good to know that in Bilbao probably we're gonna see Sunset, who played a few minutes against Villarreal on the weekend. 14 goals in all competitions this season for Athletic Bilbao. And then of course everyone's eye as well gonna be in Nico Williams, who played the superb second leg with Roma and scored a beautiful goal too. Rangers, again, best result this season, I said, have been away. So Athletic Bilbao, the favorite here, might take Athletic first team to score 1.80.
And the last game we are going to analyze in this quarterfinals, Tottenham Eintracht Frankfurt. Tottenham really favorite for this game, 1.8, also doing a terrible season domestically with the only target of the Europa League. But in this Europa League, especially at home, they've been great. 3-1 against AZ, coming back in the previous tie, but the record is great, 10 wins and 1 draw in the last 11 home games in this competition. The draw only coming against Roma and Frankfurt. I'm sure, Leo, they won't be alone because thousands and thousands of supporters are always supporting them. And they lost to Bremen and they are still 30 in the Bundesliga, but we've seen them going down and down in this 2025. Of course, the absence of Marmoush is affecting them.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But it's still a very good season for them to be on Champions League spots and where they are at the moment in this Europa League in the quarterfinals. It's still a good season for them, and this should be a very interesting tie. And for all the struggles that Tottenham is having this season, they are 18 games without defeat at home in European competition, 15 wins and 3 draws. But the reality, aside from stats, yes, it's true, is far from being great for Tottenham. For much of the season, injury crisis was used to justify their poor form. But even with many key players back, Postecoglou has still struggled to get a tune out of this side. Let's remember that in the first leg with the AZ back to London, which could have completely changed the outcome of the tie. My view watching Spurs many times this season was that they are a good team but flow at sometimes. But lately, the feeling is growing the opposite way, that maybe they are a bad team which occasionally have good days. And that is when Postecoglou comes into the picture, because let's be clear, Tottenham have very good players. They have good players, and in some positions, very good players. And in some other positions, like in midfield, they have players like 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗀, who they're going to cost a fortune in the future. 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗀 is going to be one of the best midfielders in the world in the coming seasons. So when a team has good players and very good players, and they are like performing the way they are doing, 16 defeats in the Premier League for Tottenham this season, that's when Postecoglou comes into the picture. But at the same time, then you look at the first goal against Southampton on Sunday. Romero, Maddison, Son, Johnson, and boom, goal. 4 passes, they break line forward and they score. They're capable of doing that. The problem facing Eintracht Frankfurt, I think, is like, look, Tottenham is a team that likes to press high, almost playing 1v1 at their defense, and Eintracht would love Tottenham to do that and play long balls in behind. Chelsea last Thursday in Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, a team that does not play long balls. Tottenham went to Stamford Bridge, and most of the time they play long balls, and it was effective for Maresca. And Maresca explained after the game, we did that because Tottenham like to press high, and they can leave spaces in behind, or if they don't leave spaces, at least you're going to be playing 1v1, and then it's all about the duel, and anything can happen. And Eintracht showed that against Ajax perfectly. So this should be a very interesting one. I expect goals here, and we are talking about the team Eintracht as well that scored 55 goals this season in the Bundesliga, the third best scoring side in that competition, and they are a very energetic side, a very young side as well. So my take here is both teams to score yes and goals over 2.5. Those two combined, odds of 2.51.
Well, the bookies are not ruling out Eintracht Frankfurt for this game. Spurs are really favorite. But for the tie, Alain, we see kind of level odds. Spurs 1.7, Frankfurt 2.2.
Yes, I don't agree, because if we compare both teams, the season are doing, Tottenham is a really difficult season. He suffered a lot of injured players, but it's the end of the cycle of Postecoglou. Is clear, and the atmosphere around Tottenham is not the best atmosphere to working and prepare that type of game. Eintracht is really comfortable in the synopsis of the game. Leo said, when Eintracht can run, Eintracht is really dangerous team. Now, Edimbe, 𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗀 are not able to play, and that one quit some powder, offensive powder, to Eintracht Frankfurt. But in the middle is a team known to suffer. Known to suffer, is a team known to put the block low, waiting the rival, waiting the best moment. I think 𝗍𝐿𝐴 is doing a brilliant season. Is a striker when he can run, is really dangerous in 1-to-1. Is dynamic. He saw the goal, and he's confident. He recovered his skills after the difficult season in Paris, and is the striker for Eintracht. Now maybe the injury of Trapp can be affect a little because we saw Caus Santos made some mistake since the beginning of the season, but Eintracht will be arrived with a positive mind with his fans. We saw the best version of Eintracht in Europa League. We saw that in Amsterdam at home after against Ajax, and for that reason I choose a risk because in my opinion is interesting. The odds double chance 𝑋2 odds 2.11.
Well, the big surprise of Tottenham winning is 4.4 for Frankfurt to win, even the draw 4.3. Well, these are the 4 games we have in the Europa League on Thursday. Remember, guys, that you can also post your own tips in Oddspedia and participate in our tipster competitions or also participate in rivals. Let's see if we have any safe bets in this Europa League, not in the 𝐿 because Tottenham is the biggest favorite, actually, with 1.8. The odds you are watching in this show are very high, but let's see what Leo has found as a safe bet.
My safe bet, guys, Bodo Glimt first half double chance 1.44.
Alain?
Lyon Manchester United over 1.75 goals, odds 1.31.
And your ACCA, Alain Valnegri?
Bodo Glimt Lazio over 1.75 goals, Lyon Manchester United double chance 𝑋2, Rangers Athletic over 1.75 goals, Tottenham Eintracht over 7.5 corner for a total 3.49.
And Leo, your ACCA?
My ACCA, Lyon Manchester United goals under 2.5 and Tottenham Eintracht Frankfurt, both teams to score yes and goals over 1.5. These two together also 3.81.
Well, Alain Valnegri, Leo 𝐿𝐵𝐶, thank you. Good luck, guys, with the Europa League. Bye-bye.